Good evening. I'm Bob Goodlatte, and I am not a candidate for Attorney General of Virginia. I do, however, have a question for you. Are you ready to roll up your sleeves and get to work to elect one of these three fine candidates as our next Attorney General of Virginia? Yeah. Are you ready to do what it takes to re-elect Bill Bolling, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia? Finally, and most importantly, are you ready to retake the governor's mansion of Virginia by electing Bob McDonnell the next great governor of Virginia? Jeremy, thank you for that kind introduction. You did a great job as intern for me, but you've done an outstanding job here as well. Let's give him a round of applause for organizing. Yeah. All of the Shenandoah County team, every year when we come to this event, it is absolutely outstanding. Mary Ellen and I are delighted to be with you here again this evening. Especially delighted to be here with Governor Allen and Susan Allen, a great governor and First Lady of Virginia, a great team for Virginia when George served in the United States Senate, and they will be a great team for Virginia again in the future. Mark my words. A lot has been said tonight about the stimulus package. And if you look on your table there, some of you may be wondering what those pennies are. That's your share. So be sure to divide it up carefully and fairly before you leave tonight. Now, I fib a little bit there because actually the tax relief that's contained in the stimulus package is much more generous than a roll of pennies. It's actually $1.10 per family per day. And you know what? The obligation of the average American family of four for that stimulus package is thousands and thousands of dollars. And of course, when you compound that by the interest that's going to have to be paid on that for as far as the eye can see, so that children yet unborn and young people today will suffer the difficult life that will come as a result of it, it is hard to attach the word stimulus to it. So we move on to the next vote that I had the opportunity to vote against already in this new Congress, and that was the Omnibus Appropriations Bill. Another $410 billion, and I prefer to call it the ominous appropriations bill, because that's exactly what it is. When you add those two together and then consider the budget that the Congress is now considering, the obligations of the American people looking ahead are absolutely stunning. It is of great concern to me. That's why I voted against bailout packages last year, and why I voted against each of those. In fact, I have great respect, not only on this issue, but on a multitude of issues, for the outstanding work that your representatives in Richmond, Mark Obenshain and Todd Gilbert, do. They were right to say that this is not the time to look to Washington, D.C. to solve the crisis that America faces. In fact, I would strongly argue to you that that is the emanation of the problems that we suffer today. It is far too long that we have attempted to spend more money than we have taken in year after year after year, and succeeded not in creating new wealth in our country, but in creating $10 trillion in debt, which is now projected by the end of 4 years from now to have grown to more than $16 trillion in debt. That's based upon the President's own optimistic projections about what that will be. And then he comes back and tells us that, don't worry, we will have cut the deficit in half by the end of this 4-year term. Now, if you think about that, if you triple the deficit, and then over 4 years manage to get it back down to 1/2 of that tripled amount, have you made progress? No. You have dug a very, very deep hole. Now, what's really alarming about this isn't just the fact that it is an enormous amount of spending, but if you look at it and realize that most of the money isn't going to be even spent in this first year of this effort, and when you realize that you and I could come up with a far better plan to create real jobs in the private sector and give back to the American people some of the hard-earned tax dollars that they have paid and allow them to decide how to grow this economy, you would have great success. No, this is not what this stimulus is about. What this is about is steering the American society, not just our economy, but the American society, as rapidly and as far to the left as you possibly can accomplish in as short a time as you can possibly do it. If you look at this spending all across the board, what you see is an effort to write a new agenda for American government. This is a great government stimulus. When I hear everybody talking about how relieved they are to be out of Richmond and in the rest of Virginia, I just, I don't understand it, quite frankly. Richmond could be easily cured with a few more members of the Virginia Senate and a new Republican governor of Virginia. The beautiful Washington, D.C., which I always breathe a sigh of relief when I get out past that beltway and feel like I am heading back to my district when I hit Interstate 81, just a few miles north of here, and enter the 6th Congressional District. I truly know that there is a real difference between Virginia and what goes on in Washington, D.C., where I recently read there are 47,000 lawyers in Washington, D.C. Now, I don't say that critically about the lawyers, because I am one myself, and as you heard, there are many others who have spoken to you tonight who are as well. But that is more than double the number of lawyers there are in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia, in a city of only a little more than 500,000 people. And they are there because they are doing their best to represent a whole host of interests in that city, attempting to do through government what should be done through the free enterprise system all across this great land. That's really what is going on in Washington, D.C. Not the people that represent various interests there, but the ideology that is now dominant in that city that is a tremendous, tremendous challenge to the future of our country. So look at the agenda that is before our country and know that we have a tremendous opportunity. You can already feel it. There's a great turnout here tonight. I've been speaking at Republican events all across this Congressional District and elsewhere in the state, and you can see the enthusiasm building because of the fact that people know that this party does stand for what the vast majority of the American people, and certainly the people here of Virginia, believe in. If we will simply rally around these candidates and the values that they are bringing to the table of limited government and free enterprise and individual responsibility and lower taxes and less government regulation, we will very, very soon be back in the lead. And when we do, let us not forget the lessons that we as Republicans learned from our recent debacle. You cannot become Democrat-like and be a leading party. Yeah.